Welcome to the Pure Energy Healing Academy. Welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. He's always smiling, isn't he? Not always. Could be a miserable bugger sometimes. You never know somebody until you live with them, let me tell you. Oh, my giddy aunt. Do you want to look at my new top? Anyway, look. Oh, it's a pretty top. Panda Fatima. Warn off them evil buggers. Get on with you. Welcome, dear friends. Welcome. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yeah, I'm just looking at that cow there that was given to me. I did a kind deed, and I was given something. The guy says this is to remind you of what you've done. Yeah, it's nice. Let me show you. Handmade in Bali. Is that lovely? So you can see original, and then it's all been coated in solid gold. Beautiful, eh? Really beautiful. It's a cow, and it's been dressed up, right? Just lovely. Yeah, I'll never forget that. That was kind of an interesting thing. I don't really want to talk about it too much. It's not about the ego, but it's about, well, maybe one day I will tell you when all the madness is over. And we finally get our world back from the dystopian crazes of this world, who are doing everything they can to stop us from moving, traveling, living, and having enjoyment and happiness. And we know why. We know why they're trying to do that. If you can lower the frequency of the world, you can feed darkness. So it's pretty obvious. Some people will disagree. Some people will say it's Illuminati bloodline. That's been going on a long time, and what they do is they completely do everything they can to cause chaos in this world, and by doing that they harvest souls. It's there's so many I don't want to call them conspiracies, but yeah, it's interesting times right now. It really is. But anyway, going back to the golden cow, not that particular story, but stories of how spirit never stops. My partner has, when I first met my partner, she believed, and she kind of, yeah, I can't say she didn't believe. She did believe, but she wanted proof. We've been together now for, I think, 5-6 years, and she's seen the proof. And the proof of the times that we were together, and how spirit pushes us gently or weaves us to a certain place to help. And she asked me a question a few years ago, and I said, I'm tired. And she says, how can you be tired of doing this work? It's so beautiful. And I said, it's a great question. And I says, I'm tired of the fact that I never have a day off. And she didn't understand up until now. And for me, I've always had this, it's not gullible. It's following what feels right. And a lot of the times I'll do things that are so silly and so dangerous sometimes, and so unpredictable, that anybody who's watching, if they're living with me, would think this is crazy. Up until afterwards, and then it's revealed that spirit was, it's not manipulation. It could feel like that sometimes, when you're in that energy and you're in that path, you're on that path that they want you to be somewhere at a certain point to help or to do something. And without question. Or sometimes they'll do it and you don't even know why you're doing it, but you know you have to do it. What am I doing? Don't know. Why are you doing it? Don't know. This makes no sense, Mark. Why are you doing it then? I don't know. Up until it finally presents itself. You're probably looking at the screen saying, what the hell is he talking about? It's hard to explain, but there's been times I've looked up and said, please, leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm tired. And it doesn't stop. And my brain, I don't know whether you want to call it reptilian brain or the stupid side of me, the stubborn side of me, says one thing, and the other side says, the creative side, the loving side, the kind side says another. So you're always in conflict with this. Why do they do this? Can't they see that I'm tired? But you do understand and you realize as you get on this journey and you're doing it more and more that there is no space or time in the spirit world. So this is the only place you feel that and you understand that. And this is man-made. This is created by a manipulating society. Time is a manipulating energy now. It never used to be, because we used to rise and fall asleep to the sun and we used to follow that. Now you're working, I don't care what time, how late it is, you're working, and time, I don't care, and you're on a deadline. Yeah, deadline. Yeah, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you better get here on time. So we've created this false illusion that time is significant and it means something, and it's backed up by the stupidity of humanity. Hey, you're late, you don't care, you're late, you're fired, you're late, you're disgusted. Well, hang on a minute. Who says they're late? A wizard's never late. He always arrives exactly when he's meant to. But what I mean is, what about situations? What about things that can occur during a single day? He's not late. He just got here at the right time, and he was being careful. What if there was a queue? There was an accident, and he's in the car, and the traffic's slow. But nobody thinks about that anymore. It's all about you should be here on time, and if there is an accident, then you should have thought about that before and come earlier, and all of this man-made driven nonsense dribble that basically is a form of imprisonment in one way or another. And you can see why I want to break free, because even the spirit world in their own doing are actually pushing me to always do something, always asking me to do something, always be there, do that. And I don't mind, but sometimes it's like, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. If you read my books, you'll see that, the things that I go through, because they know that I wouldn't do it. Why would I want to be somewhere in the middle of a field at 3 o'clock in the morning in the cold and the dark to help a young girl move into the spirit world? Why would I ask somebody else? In fact, I don't even know what you're talking about, where I need to be, or I don't know what you. So they guide you, they lead you, and even. The other day I was led to a certain place and I didn't know why, and I had this, and my partner was saying, what is it? And I don't know. It's like somebody putting a thought in your mind all the time. When I say all the time, every few minutes, and you keep seeing either a picture of somebody or a thought of somebody, and you've got to be there, you've got to go there. And so I make the phone call, I need to see you. Oh, why? No idea. I'd like to just come and say hello, have a coffee. And then you find out afterwards why you had to see that person. because something unfolded when you met them and they started telling you something. Oh, now I understand why I'm here. Now I understand what I need to do. You see what I mean? No, probably you don't. Maybe you do. But for somebody who's been a healer all these years, it's been a constant. You know, I've done it at shows, and like I've come home from a healing show and there was somebody at the bottom there that were in my mind all the time. And I wrote about it. I'm sure I wrote about it in the first book. And again, it was like bothering me all the time. It's like, oh, will you stop showing me these flowers? And like I kept seeing these flowers and I kept seeing this girl all the time that I'd seen at a show. Flowers, flowers. And they showed me how to lay the flowers out. So, like, seriously, I'm married. I'm going to buy some flowers for this girl who's about 20 or 30 years old. I'm buying some flowers. They tell me to buy some flowers. Like, I don't even know who this woman is and what's she going to do when I give her these flowers. It's like, but, you know, it's a constant thing. So, okay, I'll buy the flowers. So I buy the flowers. I go to the show. I walk up to her. She starts crying, knowing exactly why I'm giving her flowers. And I said, so you know what this is then? She said, yeah, I do. It's my mum's birthday, or it's her birthday or something. And I said, okay, so it must be your mum then. Soon as that's done, the thoughts have gone. The showing me of the flowers have gone. Now imagine that happening constantly. So where am I going with this conversation? Rest in peace. Are you kidding me? Lay them down to rest. Are you kidding me? You actually, do you actually have any clue to how the spirit world works? You think that when you go back to the spirit world, you fall asleep and you're in a deep, peaceful sleep? Let me tell you something. These guys and girls and grandmas and mums and animals, which are not animals, the spirits, they don't stop once they're there. And what I've realised, that the spirit world has access to certain souls. They have a way of, and I don't like to call it manipulation because it isn't manipulation, because that's an awful thing. But it's I want to get the right word, because it's not always beautiful. It's like challenging sometimes, but it's not bad. Afterwards you realize why, and you realize why they've spent that energy to come into your energy, or to give you information or jigsaw pieces, just so that you can do something that actually makes a difference. And every time they do these things, no matter what you go through and how you feel, at the end of it, you always realize, wow, I get it now. It all makes sense. I probably told you the story, right? Anyway, I had to meet this person, and it ended up that this person showed me somewhere, and like I see one dog, and I see 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and then I see 10, and then I see 20, then I see 30, and I said, how many bloody dogs have you got in this field? He says, well, I look after abandoned dogs. There's 43. I says, how the bloody hell do you look after 43 animals? Because I have one, and I know how much it costs me to look after one animal. And he says, yeah, it's a bit challenging. And I said, where's the food? He says, well, I do my best. I try and get food here and there. He says, but it's a challenge. And then I said, okay, now I know why I'm here. So we went to the vets. I paid 6 months vet bills. I paid for the food, and I bought 6 months food extra for the dogs. And like, he's crying, and I'm like, right, he just can't believe it, and neither can the guy who was there at the same time. But I'm like, my bit's easy. You know, I'm doing really well now in life. I've got a bit of money. I can afford to help people. I'm not rich, but I can afford to help because of my clients that help, who trust in me. So now I can help you. And he's like being nice and saying nice things. I'm saying, look, this bit's easy. The hard bit is what you're doing. I said, I've got one dog and I know how hard it is. You've got 43. So then I realized why I was brought there. Because he had no money left and the dogs would have starved. And it would have been a struggle for him. And yes, they were skinny and they didn't. But I bought all the bags, you know. I don't know, 43, 44 huge bags. And he sent me photos of the bags, and their dogs are happy now, and everybody's happy. It's a good thing, eh? Always ends up a good thing. Never a bad thing, always a good thing. And then never asking for anything, but then my business is continuing doing better and better. So it wasn't a big deal to me. The hand that gives is always full. But I didn't do it for knowing that I'm going to get anything back. I did it because I was asked to do it by Spirit. And there's a difference. You know, when people do these things, when it's like, okay, you owe me now, that's a business transaction. When you do things out of love because you know it's right, without thought or feeling of what you do, you just do it, then Spirit knows who you are, and Spirit will influence you. Influence is a good word. But times I get tired and I say, oh guys, look, there's 8 billion people in the world. Please find somebody else. And I'm sure they do. Okay then, we'll come back later. No, don't come back later. Go and find somebody else. Leave me alone at the moment. I'm busy. So going back to rest in peace, I don't like those 3 words, because there is no rest in the spirit world. There is no time and space. There's a continuous energy of helping this world in so many ways. Our spirit world is invested in this world to keep it going, to keep life going, to keep love going, to keep healing going, to clear the grief, to clear the suffering, to clear the pain. That's why so many people are drawn to become a healer. So many people are drawn to help and be kind and caring, because there is something within our consciousness to do the right thing, always. And every time we do the wrong thing, or a bad thing, or a challenging thing, we feel it. We do, unless you're a psychopath. But then I often wonder, do psychopaths feel these things? It's an interesting question. The deep psychology of everything, or common sense I call it. Psychology not so much, common sense is a better word. You can see it, you can feel it as well. So no, you don't rest in peace, because there is no sleep in the spirit world. Only here, and it's always been fascinating to me, sleep and the energy of sleep. And a lot of people ask me why we sleep. It's been happening for years. People, why do we have to sleep? And I said, well, it's because it's the only time really that you do your true work in this world, and that's why. That's my humble opinion. You don't sleep to recharge, because I don't believe that's the case. You sleep to leave the body and help the world by being the conscious spirit that you are, and helping and creating and lifting the vibration and keeping the energy to a positive, to a light, rather than completely dark. So when you're asleep, let's finish on this note, don't be so harsh on yourself when you say, I don't know who I am, why I'm here. Because I know deep down that when you're asleep, you do the work, and you're probably more powerful than you could ever imagine. The work is guiding, helping. It could be a little girl at a school who's crying in a corner, and then you come along and you give her love and healing. Or you may influence another little girl to see what's going on over there, and the other little girl goes over and comforts that girl. But you become part of that moment where the healing takes place. You might be in a war zone. You might be in Africa where somebody's starving, or you may be somewhere, you may do something that alters that moment of suffering and pain, which I believe so. You might be a warrior of the light, and you might be trying to do your best to bring light and healing to those that are creating great pain and suffering in this world. There are so many things I believe we do. I don't believe it's just all astral travel to visit our family in the spirit world, because that doesn't really truly make much sense to me. Okay, we might go back and forth every now and again, but it makes no sense to me. What's the point in being here if all we ever do is go back again? We have to live the earthly life, and we have to heal this planet and help this planet. And I think when we don't really talk about this, it's not talked about at school level, it's not talked about, it's very rare. How many people will tell you that when you're asleep, you actually leave the physical body and you help and heal and make a difference in this world? You think you're asleep and that's it? Your spirit stays there? Your spirit is free. It can leave at any given moment. But you don't know that. But I believe that when you're asleep, something opens. Whether it's your heart, whether it's your mind, whether you something so magical and divine happens when you fall asleep. Oh, REM, and there's this, and deep breathing and snoring. Forget all of that. Something happens when you fall asleep. Your spirit comes out and then does the work. And sometimes, you can see that you've been further, and you would say, well, there's no space and time. There isn't, but if you've been working really hard, you find that it's harder to get up and it's harder to wake up, and it takes time to get up because you've been further away and you've worked harder. When you're nearer, then it's easy to spring up because you're closer, you're within. But these are the things that I feel I've seen within my clients when they fall asleep. Yeah, there's so many interesting things, and we all seem to always try and look for one aspect of something and say, this is it, whereas there's a million things happening at any given moment. And to a degree, we're all right, but sometimes we're all wrong as well. And I'm often encouraged to remember this. Duality means two, right? Duality, I think that means two things happening at the same time. But what if there's 1,000 things happening at the same time? Well, you can't comprehend that, can you? It's very difficult to, because it becomes too complicated for the mind to even process. But who's to say that anything that I'm saying to you now, there's 1,000 things happening at this given moment? Why? Because there might be 1,000 people who listen to this for different reasons. Isn't that amazing in itself? Could it be that one thing I've said, or could it be the top I'm wearing? Could it be the cow that I picked up has relevance to you? Could it be that specific moment, that spirit brought you here to listen to this message out of the millions of messages every single day of every moment on the black screen, that you have been brought here to listen to something that makes you go, oh, and maybe you didn't even realize what I said, but maybe it triggered something within you, whether it's the energy that I give you, it could be a keyword, it could be a symbol, it could be anything that then triggers you to not manipulate you, but to just move you back onto a track or a different path, or to think of something to change the destiny of the world to make it a better place. Wow. Couldn't that be? Could it be? Is it possible that everything that you say and do when you're with somebody has ripple effects in millions of ways, billions of ways? Too much to even process. It's like me saying to you, you think the colour of the rainbow, that's it? No. There's thousands more colours. And so we limit ourselves to what we've been taught and to what we believe and what we see. And yet we see far more when our eyes are closed. But yet nobody talks about that because it's not tangible. You can't touch it, you can't feel it, so it doesn't exist, which means it's not real. When in actual fact, the reality is the opposite way around. There's more real things happening when your eyes are closed and when you can't see things. The reality is that when you're given a healing session and you see the tremendous energy that is taking place throughout the body and the millions of things that are happening on a cellular level, on a spiritual level, which is so overwhelming, and that can change the history, the course of any family member, to change their life and everything in their world. It's incredible. So I don't limit myself to scientism. Any isms are thrown away in my world. I don't believe in isms. So the next time you look in the mirror, the next time you sit down and think that you're nobody and you don't feel like you've accomplished anything and you don't feel like you've served your purpose in this world, let me tell you, you serve your purpose every single night when you fall asleep. Oh yes. And you serve your purpose every time you wake up in the morning with every single thought, every single feeling, every single action, whether they're good or bad. We serve a purpose in this world so that other people experience and either grow from it or stay as they are. So I can be a conduit, I can be a vessel, I can be your greatest challenge. Either or. I can be the light for you or the dark for you. Does that make it bad? Does it make it good? Well, the more I realise it's part of our journey. Sometimes we fall and we wish we hadn't done something, but then could it be that what we did was pre-planned at some point? Not necessarily exactly at that moment, but could it be that one day you will be a pain in the ass? One day you will say something that you shouldn't have said. One day you will have done something that you wish you hadn't have done. But then without doing that, how can the person that you did it to, how can they grow? How can they feel and understand it and grow from it? How can we learn to forgive our actions? And how can that person that we did it to learn to forgive us? It's all part of the journey. And I've come to understand that I'm not blaming. Okay, yes, you're right. No, you shouldn't hurt people. Do no harm. Absolutely. But could it be that part of our journey is that what we become, that what we hoped that we never would? Could it be that we make mistakes and it's part of our journey? These are the things that I often ponder on and talk about. And the one thing I know about life and the one thing I understand about the spirit world is they don't hate. And there's many a times people come to me and say, Mark, you say you're a seer. And I know I don't. I've never said I'm a seer. Yeah, but you put it on your website. Well, people like to say I am, but I don't claim to be anything, and don't put me in a box. But I try my best to help people, and if I see something, I'll say, this is what I saw. And yeah, the times that spirit came through and said they were angry at Mary because Mary did so and so, they weren't angry at Mary. What they were doing was showing me who they were. How can you tell Mary, who sat in front of you, that her husband Stanley is angry at you because you didn't do something one day? You didn't make him happy because of this or that. How are you to explain that your husband's here if we can't pull a memory of what's been given to me by Stan? Stan says, hey, tell her this, tell her that. And then she starts crying, oh, is he upset with me? No, he's not upset with you at all. Maybe other healers and other seers will see it that way, but I realise, no, there's a lot more here, Mark. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you who I am, and this is the story that she'll remember who I am. Is he upset? No, he's not upset. Why isn't he upset? Because he's in spirit. Spirit doesn't get upset. Spirit doesn't hold on to grudges or hate. Spirit is pure, is love, is consciousness. Consciousness isn't angry, jealous, bitter, but it will show us as a human being who's hearing and feeling and putting the pieces together certain circumstances. And that one of the circumstances could be, oh, you stole a watch once from your mum, or you sold a watch from your dad that you should have kept. So they're crying, saying, oh, he's upset with me. No, he's not upset with you. He's just pointing out. So now you know who it is. Oh, yeah, now I know who it is. Okay, let's now talk. He loves you. He's with you every day. As my mum is behind me, as your mum is, or your grandma, or your children, they're always with you. And the one thing that they're always doing is trying to help you become a better, happier, caring, loving soul. And they're to support us along our journey. That's what spirit does. That's why we are spirit. Inside us, we care, we love, we share, we want to help, we want everybody to feel happy. We want to walk out that door and everybody is happy and smiling. That is a perfect world. Unless you're being abused badly and you've gone through terrible things happen to you, then it's very difficult for you to smile. So then you're going to get angry with people who smile. So it's very hard to create the world that you want when people have gone through such terrible things. But maybe that's the whole point. Everything that we do in life shows us who we are. So we can look back and say, this is who I am. This is what I did. Through what your actions is who you are. Right or wrong doesn't make you bad or good. This is who I am. This is the core of my soul. This is my spirit. And there are many a times that you will be able to see the difference between the mind that does stupid things because of the pain and suffering and the fear that we go through, and then the consciousness that takes over that sometimes, that just bypasses it, and we do beautiful things no matter what. I just did that because it felt right. I did that because I didn't think, well, why did you just give your last 10 euros away? You needed that. Yeah, but I don't know. It was more important to give it to that person. Why did you spend all day doing that when you could have been at home doing something at home for us? Because it just felt right. I just needed to do it. And these are the things that we should follow. Because by following that, I call it the flow. When you follow the flow, then magic happens. There's the greatest healer in the world is the healer that heals. Meaning that if I'm doing good in this world, I am healing myself. Absolutely. There is no doubt about it. If you live in fear, you can't heal yourself. There is no healing can take place if you are in fear. Meaning that if I'm always doing things for me because I'm worried about everything and I need to focus on me all the time because of fear, not because of love and not because of healing, not because of strengthening your understanding of spirituality and deep within you. No, the fear of I need to do it all for me. I need to look after me home first. That's fear. You're just going to make yourself even more sick. So there's a balance of life and the tools that we need and the observations, the signs that lie within us that most of us don't follow. We don't hear, we don't see. But there are times that we do and we just follow it for no mindly reason. We just do it. And that, if we could all follow that, that's basically going into the heart and living in the heart. That's what many people talk about. Live in the heart. What do you mean live in the heart, work in the heart? Well, I've just explained to you. That's what it is. Everything that society does is try to entrap you to live in the mind. Everything that your consciousness and the spirit world does is try to help you, lead you, and encourage you to work and live in the heart. Those that live in the heart for the time that they're here experience and raise their unique individual experience to a greater level. Those who live in fear and live in this dark system and feed the dark system and do what the dark system does and follow it, normally they're normally frozen in that same level, in that same experience. So when you move back into the light, it's like, oh shit, did I do all of that? But when you give kind, caring, loving, work on yourself in a loving way, when you express yourself in the way that feels right inside your heart, when you don't live in fear, when you don't follow and follow others externally and look for things that make you happy externally, when you follow it inside and follow what feels right in you and realize that everything that is free is the most powerful thing in the world to give you healing and strength and happiness, when you follow that, you raise I call them 12 levels, the 12 levels. So somebody will come to me and I can instantly see what level they're on, and you will think, oh, that's a bit awful, isn't it? No, it's not awful. The level is energy. And I can only say level because how do I explain energy to you? It's difficult. Okay, you might say, or colours, or you might say heaviness or lightness. But if I say levels of enlightenment, there's many people that, wow, you're on this planet and your enlightenment is amazing. And a lot of the times you've been through a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. Because greatest enlightenment is through the pain and suffering that you've experienced and grown from. You've gone through that, but you've grown from it. You've felt it, you've let it go, and now you've got the experience and you've grown. You're growing through all the experiences, all the little things. You're not holding on to them with anger and grief and suffering and trauma, right? Wow, you've done great. Yeah, I've been through a lot, but hey, I feel like I've learned a lot. Well done. Oh, everything's wrong. Oh, my life's terrible. Everything's terrible. I've always been I'm torn apart and I don't want to be here anymore. Okay, so you're not doing that well, really, are you? You're going through the experience, but your experience is keeping you where you are and you're not rising above that experience. Thus, your level is a lot lower. Do you understand that? I'm not being judging. It's not judgmental. It's a feeling of energy that I feel around some people. And normally when somebody's energy is fantastic, and a lot of people pretend to have great energy with a big smile and think they're wonderful. Oh yeah, I'm brilliant. No, you're not. You're just putting a show on. That's just a show. Let's see your real energy. And that's when they start crying and realizing they're full of trauma. And they've suppressed it, and now they're releasing it after a healing session. Well, good, you're releasing it now. At least you're releasing it. Now you're one step closer to healing and getting stronger. No such thing as I've lost, or I'm finished, or I'll never be able to feel the same, and I can't move on with this person or that person because I've done so much badness. No, that's all nonsense. You can change your life and make amends of anything and grow every day. But a lot of people just find that too hard, too difficult, too challenging. Just give me the crappy food. Just give me anything. Give me tablets. Give me anything. Okay? Again, it's all to do with what feels right. Or you just surrender and say, I don't care about any of this anymore, and I'll just live in self-pity and wallow in the cesspit of negativity. Again, we go back to the choice. The choice is yours. The choice is always yours. Suffer or grow from it and become powerful. And I think if you're watching this now and you've been watching it for 30 odd minutes, I think you're ready. And I think you are on the right path of strength and power. I do believe that you are the most powerful soul in the world. You truly are, because there's only one, just one, and that's you. So find your gifts, smile in the times of pain and suffering, and say, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to work at it. I'm going to conquer it. I'm going to accept it. And I'm going to be the best version I am. Everybody goes through suffering. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. My favorite quote of the Buddha: pain is inevitable. You're going to fall, whether it's on your bike or whether it's balancing yourself on a tightrope, or whether we just make mistakes in the sense of doing things that we know we shouldn't do, but we do it anyway. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. As long as we're aware of it and we grow and we get better and better. Better's not a great word because better never stops. And some words aren't brilliant. But keep going. Keep being, I guess, the cliche best version that you can be each single moment of every day. And don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up of the past. Don't beat yourself up of what you shoulda, coulda, woulda, done. Shoulda, woulda, forget it. Let it go. Move on. And be the best version that you can be right now. And I am. I'm going to be the best I can be. I'm wishing you all a lovely day. Thanks for this little coffee chat. Again, I will have upset somebody now because I mentioned coffee. There's always 3 pointing back at you, love. Yeah, love, I don't call me love. You can call me they or it or I. Identify as a book. I identify as a pink cup. The world of insanity. when the world is filled with insanity and you are still stronger and you stay focused in what feels right, that's good. That's good. Just don't fall for the insanity. It's around everywhere. It's called darkness. And it's influencing so many young children, so many people now. Be stronger than it. Yeah. Incredible how the black screen has infiltrated so many people. There's so many walking zombies right now, and they don't know it. Their spirit is there, but it's been covered in the dark energy. So try and be the light, because the light can clear the dark very quickly. That's why a smile is so important. That's why a kind act is so important. That's why a healing session is so important, because it can clear darkness that has been laying inside the physical body and the spiritual energy for years and years. A touch, a hug. Why do you think they tried to stop us from hugging and touching? It's all relative, guys. Just got to open your eyes and see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Have a great day. Take care.